Tonight, we're putting issues between the governor and tribes into focus.
I don't see any agreement between the state of Oklahoma or the tribes until there is a new election.
There have been ongoing disputes since the time Governor Sitt took office.
Just this week, the 5 civilized tribes of Oklahoma said they're not joining the governor's task force looking into the McGirt decision. Our Capitol reporter Haley Wager joins us now with more on that. Haley?
That's right. The governor called for this task force, saying the McGirt decision has created confusion and tension. The 5 tribes, on the other hand, call McGirt a pro-public safety ruling that restored tribal jurisdiction. Creating one Oklahoma, Governor Sitt called for a task force between state and tribal leaders to look at the impacts of the 2020 McGirt decision.
The decision in McGirt v. Oklahoma opened a sort of a Pandora's box of issues for folks to consider.
Sitt's calling for recommendations to address the McGirt effects and uniform jail agreements and cross-deputization.
Cross-deputization in this case is just 2 law enforcement agencies in 2 separate jurisdictions having to work together when there's an issue that arises either right on their border or spills over from one jurisdiction to the other.
Tribal attorney Robert Gifford explains these agreements have been around long before the McGirt decision.
It's not until now and the infighting that's happening between the state governments and the tribal governments is creating the issue.
Now the task force hit a roadblock when the 5 tribes sent a joint letter to the governor saying they cannot participate in an effort that spreads falsehoods about the law, attempts to minimize tribal voices, and engages in political attacks. The governor's communications director said in a statement, Governor Sitt gave the tribes a seat at the table, and they've chosen not to participate. The tribes say they're eager to work to improve coordination in public safety efforts when they have a willing partner at the state of Oklahoma.
Unfortunately, it's going to be the citizens and residents of Oklahoma and tribal members that will pay the price.
And the Senate, House, and Attorney General tell me they're all planning on participating in the task force. Governor Sitt hopes the 5 tribes will reconsider.
Haley, we have talked about this before, but this is really just one instance in a long list of issues between the governor and the tribes.
That's right. One of those issues with a new development this week. A Garfield County judge dismissed a ticket issued to a woman with tribal tags. OHP gave her the ticket because they say she didn't live on tribal land. Governor Sitt says the law is a matter of public safety. And possibly the longest ongoing battle is over tribal compacts. Lawmakers held a special session in July to extend tobacco and motor vehicle compacts after the governor vetoed the bills. They overrode the veto, extending the compacts for a year. The hope is for the governor and the tribes to renegotiate. That's something Sitt says he's been trying to do.
Not once have I ever walked away from the negotiating table, but I will not be bullied into doing a bad deal for Oklahoma taxpayers.
One other compact is still under fire. The 5 tribes are suing the governor over a revised gaming compact agreed to with a few smaller tribes. Arguments will be heard by the state Supreme Court. Colby.
All right, Haley, thank you for that in-depth report. The state Supreme Court will hear oral arguments in another tribal case next week. Muskogee Creek Nation tribal member Alicia Strobel wants a refund on back income taxes from the state. The law says tribal members who live within Indian country are tax exempt. The commission overrules a judge's decision that Strobel proved that she lived and worked in Indian country. Those arguments will now be Wednesday. We've also posted updates from that case over on our website. That's also where you can find all of Haley's stories on tribal disputes. Just type in news9.com/infocus.